This is Living Power with Dan Hurst.
Then, I need to move along here. And the next thing that God says to Abraham as he prepares for the promise is, don't doubt God. Genesis 17, verses 15 through 18. God also said to Abraham, as for Sarah, your wife, you're no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. King of peoples will come from her. Abraham fell face downward. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And then he remembered Ishmael, and now notice what he says. And this is really a nice picture. Beautiful. I love this about Abraham. And Abraham said, Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. In other words, well, what about Ishmael? What do I do about Ishmael? Will you still bless Ishmael? He loved Ishmael. He was a father to Ishmael. And God went on to say, yes, he would. But before we get to that part, it's really easy to question God because we don't see the whole picture. When God reveals something to us, even what he reveals to us isn't the whole picture. He reveals a part of something. And so we tend to question God's plan, just as Abraham did in verse 17. He fell down and laughed and said to himself, oh man, come on, I'm too old to have a kid. We question God's plan. Not only do we question God's plan, we question God's timing. God, I'm 100 years old, and Sarah's going to be 90. I mean, how are we supposed to have a kid at this age? One question that always comes up is, why did God take so long to allow Sarah to get pregnant? And I don't know that we can answer that adequately. There isn't any explicit answer given in the Word. But one thing is for certain. God's timing is perfect. And it may have been that God was merely working the timing out for the birth and death of Christ, who was born through the lineage of Abraham. So it was this time factor as God was planning the time of when he would be born so that it would work out in the timeline that he had planned for the coming of the Messiah. We don't know that. That's just speculation. But we do know this. Romans chapter 5, verse 6 says, you see, just at the right time, just at the right time, just at the right time, when we were powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. So that may have been what God was factoring in. In any case, we do know that God's timing is perfect. God knew what he was doing. It wasn't that he was negligent. It was that he was